better question. Who here's running paid ads already? Okay, kind of half the room. In terms of your creative, who here's using AI to help with ideas for that? Okay, only 2 people. So everyone in this room, you have to use AI for this. So if you look at like from a creative standpoint, the easiest things you can do, this will make everyone money from paid ads and also from organic content. I can see the same things kind of the same. What we want to do is we're not creating marketing material, we're creating propaganda. We're creating videos that manipulate people to take the action we want. So the easiest way to do this is you want to basically go through all of your sales call transcripts, coaching call transcripts, get as much data as physically possible. You upload this into AI, and then you would ask it to pull out the top 10 pain points that keep your clients up at night, that they would only tell their therapist, that are so painful that they're paranoid about it. And it will pull all this information out. The second thing you're going to then want to do is, once you've got this information from their actual language that people have used on calls with you, is you also want to get your best client to do what's called an ocean personality test. So this is a test you can get them to do for free. Why do we do this? Is when we've got, say for example, data from their calls, so that's like the pain points. We've then got let's put PT for ease, the personality test. We would then ask to come up with, we'll ask the AI to come up with the top 10 negative hooks specific to that avatar. Now, why is it important? We say negative, I'll come on to, but from the pain points perspective, this is the actual thing people are saying on calls. This is hyper specific. So if you've read something or you watch something like, I feel like that person's read my mind, this is literally what we're fucking doing. And the way content works and ads work is the algorithm will go through every word you say, and it will alter the targeting based upon that. And I can kind of touch on that as well. So once we've got the pain points, I would then ask you basically to kind of give me 10 hooks, and I would make sure they're negative. Why would they be negative hooks? Because I'm trying to trigger people and get their attention. If you watch, which I would highly recommend you don't, if you watch mainstream media and you watch the news, you never see anything positive. Why? Because negativity grabs your attention, it pulls you in. So human beings are driven a lot more by fear than they are by like the positive. So you always want to try and push a negative angle. I helped a client who's a fitness coach in the wedding niche script some ads for a VSL this week, and we ran 10 negative hooks and we should run 3 positive just to try and see what works. But the negative always works. If you look at any of my paid ads, will always have a negative hook. And the best one, anyone wants to steal this, works in any niche, is do you have no clue how to X, Y, Z? So do you have no clue how to build an online fitness business? Do you have no clue how to get abs? Do you have no clue how to get in shape for your wedding? Whatever it is. Now, that's like the overall framework from a creative standpoint. Now, what I do in terms of we can kind of go into what problems you need to fix from the ads, because like this is the highest leverage thing you can do. If you get the ad creative right, the rest of it doesn't really matter. And we talk about the strategy as well. But that is a really simple framework using ads and AI for that. One of the questions you might think is like, should I script the entire ad and teleprompt it? You can do. I've done some ads that are fully teleprompted. If you're good on camera, I will personally just do the hook and then just rip. And like the best framework I see that works from a creative standpoint is going to be like this. So you run hook, I'll put UM, so it's unique mechanism. Like what's the thing that you do that's specific that gets client results? I'll put CS, like CT, what was I say? Client case studies, it's basically the next thing. So client results, and then CTA. That's like the framework of every ad that works. So hook, unique mechanism, sometimes client case study, CTA. And you want to put that social proof actually into the video. So I'll put screenshots of like me with one of the guys with the awards, or like a graphic, because the number one reason people don't buy, is skepticism. So we constantly want to reinforce that from a messaging standpoint, that like you are the top dog at what you do, you constantly have all these client results, and be very direct. We actually filmed a podcast with a client of ours who's a savage, to be fair. He is from the US, his name's Giacomo. He took his fitness business from 0 to $64,000 a month in 4 months. He did a podcast in my house last week, and he said, this is how interesting it is from a marketing perspective. He was lying in bed, like worrying about how shit his business was. He was doing like $1,000 a month or something. And then I popped up in an ad. And he's like, I just liked how convicted and certain you were in the way you spoke. So like the way you also speak in the ads is very important. And what happened? He then signed up, and then I think made like 17K in his first month with like 800 followers. He then scaled to make 60,000, 2,000. So like, he's a good example of someone who's been triggered by the ad that conveniently popped up at the right time. But our job as a marketer and as an entrepreneur is to make sure we create our own luck and then pop up at the right time. So that's what the kind of general framework I would look at from like an advertising perspective. The second thing I do, particularly if you're going to run something like a VSL, I would launch this and or any kind of ad strategy, I would launch maybe like 8 to 10, sometimes more. Like when we launched our creative for our recent VSL, I launched maybe 15 in one go with the exact same visual because I don't want any variation. All I'm testing is the actual words I'm saying. Does the hook land? Which one's working? And then this is as easy as it is, but no one looks at this in business. You find what's working and you just do more of it. So like I have 7, 8 different ads that are maybe, do you have no clue how to do this, no clue to this? I'm just shooting different visuals or the body's slightly different. And one of the things that people might say is that I get really shit leads or my leads are brokies. The easiest way to get people who have higher disposable income from a creative standpoint is the words you use in the video, in the ad, make a massive difference. So I mentioned earlier about a client we have who's in the getting in shape for wedding niche. I can't remember the exact hook, but fucking baller. And it was like, there's nothing worse than wearing a $10,000 dress on your wedding day and feeling terrible in it or something like that. So like by default, the person who's going to resonate with that is going to be the woman who's got money buying a $10,000 wedding dress. So you can use certain like terminology and language to try and target the right person. And I'll come on to targeting kind of later on, but that's the general thesis in terms of like how I look at things from a creative aspect. The other thing I would say from paid advertising, just business in general, is emotional detachment, and I would write this down. This is really important. So you've got to have emotional detachment from my idea is fucking great and it's not performing, I'm just going to keep running it, and also kind of emotional detachment from money, because the amount of ads I film, they're like, this is so sick, and it's terrible, nothing happens. And there'd be like a shit ad that I filmed with my iPhone like this, and it crushes. It's really frustrating. Same thing, we put loads of effort into YouTube videos sometimes. The ones that are like loads of hours gone into don't do that well, and the really basic ones do well.
Good question, yeah. Since you said like most important is to test like as many ideas as possible, I'm curious about that ad with Mehdi, like the funny one. Like what was that conversion and like what kind of impact it made like on the business, lead flow, whatever?
I don't know because I didn't run the ad.
Oh, you're right. I ran the ad. And how's that like that was a pretty funny ad, like how much like
so one of the things I would say even from a brand, some ads are just good from, I showed earlier we had 1.7 million people have seen an ad or something this month. So like there's an element that some ads are just good also for brand awareness, as you creating authority, as like positioning in the marketplace. Doesn't mean they're necessarily the greatest from a conversion standpoint. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna, if it kind of works, I'll run them. But generally I'll just try and optimize, for the highest performing one for cost per lead, cost per call, and actually the ones that make money. I can come on to like data and tracking as well with that, but I would try sometimes not to overcomplicate ads, because one of the things people do is they try and create too complicated visually filmed ads and they're kind of messy and then they don't work that well. I would just try and take like messy action and just test stuff frequently. Oh, actually, one last thing on this as well. So this is video ads. If you're going to look at graphic ads, so like static images, this is frustrating, but it's amazing at the same time. The most shit basic ads that are like terrible are the ones that perform best. So we have an ad that I cannot beat that is like a black graphic, white background, and it's like, I stole this from Grant Cardone, and I can tell you people how to like fun hack people. It's like everything you need to 10x your followers, leads, and sales, absolutely free. Literally just a black background and white text, that's it. Absolutely crushes. I can't get anything to beat it. So often the most basic things are things that do well. Why? Human psychology, that's really easy to understand. Like we want to try and keep things really, really, really simple so that more people can kind of understand it and resonate with it. One thing I would say, I can come on to this when it comes to launching ads, is also graphic ads and video ads kind of perform differently. So I would generally just kind of launch all the video ads together. As a normal case by case, I see video ads convert higher for actually making money than from a graphic ad. The reason for that, I feel, is I mentioned earlier about that Giacomo guy who mentioned he liked the way I spoke and was very convicted in terms of how I was speaking. you don't get that if you're just reading a still graphic. So that's a huge thing I'd say from that, but it's also the benefit of graphics is you can test them really quickly. You can get 10 different variations and you can kind of rip them and just see which one works. If it doesn't work, you kind of just chuck it in the bin. So I also mentioned about like detachment from whether this is good or not, and you could keep like running it. It's like, if it doesn't work, just get rid of it. Like 90% of them are probably not going to work, and particularly when you have ads that are working, it takes you a while to find anything that's going to kind of be improved from it. So that's generally like the system in terms from a creative standpoint. I'd also say everyone in this room wants to make a lot of money. I'd have someone who can help you film the ads to a professional level, have a decent editing team. We have an editing team we use, are fucking sick, who are in Serbia, so if anyone wants contact for them, I can also introduce you to them. Oh, don't know why it's not updated. Number 2 is going to be in terms of ad targeting. So from a targeting perspective, the way I look at everything, why I've started in this process of the biggest thing that drives the whole process is the ad creative. The ad creative absolutely rips, then the funnel can even kind of be pretty shit. It will still work. So from a targeting perspective, what I would do, actually I'm going to talk about something else quickly. So I spoke about funnel hacking people, right? So the easiest way to do this is if you go on Google and type in Facebook ad library, just search anyone you know who's in your space, who runs loads of ads, who you thinks makes money, and just see what they're doing. And then what I would do is I'd look through the ads and look at which ones have been running the longest, because if they've been running the ad for a long period of time, why? It makes money. So I'd probably try and mirror that. If you actually look at, if you go on Facebook ad library, you can see all the ads we run. We actually maxed out Facebook ad library a couple of days ago. Facebook ads. I didn't know there was a limit to how many you could run, so that was annoying, but fun at the same time. To come back to targeting, so the AI in Meta will do the targeting for you. Based upon the language you say, it will try and match up the right person. So generally what I would start with people is like open targeting and then kind of work down. So why do we start like this? I mentioned earlier about like what problem do you need to solve? So in terms of what problem you need to solve, okay, let's say we start open targeting. Let's say we're getting leads, but let's say they're shit quality. They've got no money, they're brokies, they're whatever, not what we want. So okay, cool. Next layer I would then do is probably interest targeting. So depending on your niche, let's say for example, obviously fitness would be the one I would know the most. If I'm going to target people who want to get in shape who have money, I will target things like Whole Foods, Lululemon, David Lloyd gyms, Equinox. What do like wealthy, more affluent people associate themselves with? If I was, for example, going to target trainers, I will do trainer certifications, qualifications, job titles, all that type of stuff. The other audience here that absolutely crushes for targeting is lookalike audiences. So this is like ultimate hack 101 if you're not doing this right now. So lookalike audiences, if you've got a business that's had a considerable amount of customer history and clients, what you can do is you can create a lookalike audience where I can upload all of my client data for anyone who's signed up with me. And this is really important, is you import a CSV file. You'll have like name, email, and like the LTV of that client. If you have the value on there of how much that person has spent, it dramatically improves performance. And based upon that, what will happen, Facebook will try and find people similar to that list of buyers. So it will go and find people similar to your best clients. So if you use step 1 in terms of like the ad targeting, that's really hyper specific, you got the personality test, the copy's perfect to your client's avatars and pain points and problems, and you start using things like lookalike audiences of data of people who've actually given you money who are the perfect type of client, it's a little bit like shooting fish in a barrel in terms of purely from a lead generation standpoint. I'm going to talk a bit in terms of from a sales aspect as well, because one of the reasons why, in my opinion, I'm not a massive fan of people fully delegating out paid advertising is because everyone in this room, your job is to be like the rainmaker. You need to be essentially like the chief revenue officer. You have to overlook marketing and sales. Because if you fob off your paid advertising to someone down the road and they don't know that, oh, you nearly had this sale that closed for 10K and they turn the ad off, but it came from there, they don't know that. So like, there's often other reasons in the business sometimes the ads aren't profitable. But the lookalike audiences, you can do purchasers, so like clients. You could do people who booked calls. Those are probably like the best 2 that I found generally work, but I always start with purchasers, and you can do between like 1 to 10%. So why does it give you a range of 1 to 10%? Is how close those people are to your individual how likely they are to be similar to your existing clients. So I would break that up normally into brackets of like 1 to 2%, 2 to 4%, and test different audiences. Depending on the countries you're running to and also the niches, you might need to do like 1 to 4, 1 to 6, slightly bigger, so you have a big enough pool. The other thing I'd say from an ads perspective I'd keep an eye on is something called frequency. So generally you want to keep that under 4. And that's where someone's seen the ad 4 times, they're not taking the action. So like the only time I'd have an exception for that is if you're running to like a warm audience, so people who already know you. Like if that ad's really profitable, I don't really care if it goes up 6, 7, I'll kind of let it go, but you should never have that issue. Touching on that as well, people talk about running to cold traffic and then they have a high frequency problem. So if you're not running to cold traffic, if you're running ad to the same person. So one of the things, if you want to get just purely new eyeballs, you want to do is you want to create an exclusion, which is anyone who, say, for example, visited your profile or like engaged. So that's how you get people who are like, they fucking have no idea who you are. You can literally get fresh people into your world. Whereas a lot of time what people are doing is we're sending ads to the exact same people over and over and over again. One of the reasons you need to change your creative as well, particularly the more you spend, is because different hooks, different things are going to trigger people that are going to kind of get them to convert. So from a targeting perspective, that's generally kind of how I would run it through. You may talk about placements in terms of should I run the ads on Instagram, should I run the ads on Facebook, should I run them on all of them? I personally find our ads, we push predominantly on Instagram. Why? Because I want to get as much traffic on that platform as possible because that's where my end users are. Also, the likelihood is that they will go into my social media, they will follow me, and they're in the kind of like the spider's web. We're going to kind of hook them in. So that's kind of like the framework I would use from like a targeting perspective. It's easier than ever before because you almost don't really need to use any of this stuff. I would just start with open, like male, female, whatever your specific demographic is. Also make sure you don't have like suggested ticked. So I'll give an example. I started running ads to women again a couple of weeks ago in Dubai and started getting guys coming through. I'm like, this is not right. So then looked and it's like, oh, this is just a suggestion that we're targeting women. So you want to make sure you have everything like that kind of turned off. Otherwise, Facebook will just kind of send the ads wherever it kind of feels like to get the click. One thing I wanted to touch upon, which we had a great idea from the conversation earlier, is in terms of locations. So I presume everyone here mainly just runs the ads to US, UK, Ireland, maybe Dubai, anywhere else? Australia?
Yeah.
Anywhere else?
No.
Okay. So I take this with a pinch of salt, but our most profitable Facebook ads are to Eastern Europe, purely on return on investment. I can't scale them massively because the audiences are small, but if I was also to tell you in our fitness business that had 17,000 clients, our most profitable Facebook ads were to Mexico. I know a fitness coach who makes $50 million a year who's in Mexico. Now, why do I say sometimes go and look at these other locations? Because what's called the CPM, the cost per 1,000 views, is way less. So my cost to get traffic in these countries is fuck all. So like I can just blast traffic into them, and there are people who sign up from there. Like the lady who signed up from us this week from Serbia paid 10K. Like there's people there. Some other, a good framework to kind of think about this is like follow the money. So if you think anywhere that's generally a tax haven has money. So Singapore, Hong Kong, we used to run fitness ads to Panama, like because there's people there who are kind of like, a lot of us in here are kind of tax dodgers. So like people like us, but maybe on the other side of the world will be there who you can then target and run ads to. It's also the same does anyone have a business that's not in English? Okay, so like if anyone does have something that like is Spanish or even Arabic, it's like an unfair advantage as well because the market sophistication, they are so far behind in terms of not being marketed to as people are in the English market. It's like everything kind of happens to the US, drifts to the UK, 5 years later it maybe comes to like Northern Europe, 5 years later it comes to Southern Europe. So like our other audiences that crush are also to Southern Europe, so like Portugal, Italy, Greece, Spain. A lot of the leads are kind of shit, but then a lot of them ones are actually good, which you would be surprised about. Does anyone have any questions specific? Actually, one thing. So if you're in Dubai and you want to target the US, one of the big mistakes I see a lot of people make is they run ads to the whole of the US. Now, if you live in Dubai and you're also the person taking the calls, you can't really sell to PST because the time zone's like horrendous. So if you do run ads to the US, I would just focus running down the East Coast so the time zone actually works. Because if you run, for example, a VSL, one of the reasons why the ads might not convert is because 30% of your traffic is going to California and you don't actually have any times other than like 2 a.m. that they can book in. So that's also something I would kind of take into consideration. Does anyone have any questions with regard to targeting, locations, that side of things? Shoot.
Also on the creative side,
Yep.
has anything changed in your creative process with Andromeda? Are you pumping out like, I know for us, for example, one thing we started doing is, instead of just swapping out the hooks, full diversification from each ad. I'm curious to know your experience.
Yes, I used to do the whole bullshit of like, I'll film 6 hooks and we use 2 bodies and cut them like, I'd rather, like I said, I'm good on camera, so I'd rather just be like, give me the hook and I'll just rip it. And I kind of just do the same hook like a different way, a couple of different times to test it. And I would try and launch 6 to 10 different ads a week, probably as a minimum, in terms of from a creative aspect, and we're kind of scaling that up. I can talk about how I test those ads if you want, if that helps.
Yeah, that would be great. And
Okay.
then as well, the tracking process would be.
Okay. So if you say, if we're looking at running paid ads and then testing, what I would do is create a what's called a CBO campaign. Actually, no, sorry. I do an ABO campaign because when you do this, it will just spend all in one. So let's say, for example, I've got 4 different hooks. Let's say it's, let's say one's like no clue. The other one is, let's put freedom. My English is terrible. Let's say something about Dubai. And let's just say Medi's a G is the other one. Let's go for that one. So let's say these are the 4 different hooks I'm going to use. I will create 2 to 3 variations in each ad set with a similar style hook. And then what I'll also do is I'll do 2 variations of the copy. And then what will happen is Meta and Facebook will start to just spend behind their winners. And I generally probably let that run for maybe, you can kind of tell if something's not going to work over a period of time. If like it's just not moving and they don't want to use it, I'll just switch them off. And I just kind of pull the winners out. But generally I'd start most of those on probably like 40 a day just to test. And then I'll just pull the winners out and move into like a scaling campaign and test.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does, thank you.
Any other questions on that?
Is Advantage, I've got 2 questions. First one
Okay, cool.
is Advantage Plus important?
Yes and no. So I would try it on, I would try it off. So we have some campaigns that Advantage Plus on, we have some campaigns that have it off. I'm going to kind of jump ahead as well because this kind of makes sense with it. So the answer is always to kind of test stuff. The problem, if the creative is really good, I find Advantage Plus works well, and also if it's a big audience. So I would test it and try it. Often Advantage Plus gets a lower cost per lead, but sometimes the lead can kind of be flaky. A good thing to kind of touch upon with that is, does anyone run ads here to a free opt-in course, anything like that? Cool. So,
Actually, no, it's low ticket to high tickets.
okay, so one of our ad strategies that crushes it is we run ads to our 5C course. Go and check it out, it's very good. And basically, you can run that via like an instant form, or you can send them like direct to the funnel. Now, what happens, the instant form is an ad that will pop up and someone clicks a button, it kind of like auto-populates their information, they click submit. Very low barrier to entry. What they then have to do is then have to basically re-opt in on the funnel, which is kind of annoying. Or we can send them directly from the ad, directly to the funnel. Now, this one directly to the funnel has a higher cost per lead, maybe 25, 30%. But the direct to funnel ones are way more profitable, because the intent of the person coming into it is higher because they've actually typed their details. And essentially, Meta doesn't really, and I can actually touch on something with this as well with VSLs, Meta doesn't know which of these are a good lead or not. They just see like registration or someone coming in, so it just kind of looks for more people like that. Whereas this actually having more friction, you find you have a better person coming through. Also the fact that they've gone through the funnel, they've probably gone into the course, they're much warmer when we try and like engage them into our process. We track this by using Hyros, and we have some other softwares we use. But when you start to look at the numbers of this, it's really obvious in terms of what works. The only instance we do run some instant forms. I could talk about this as well. We have a kind of like a Ponzi scheme with people in our business. They're kind of like entrepreneurs. We have some new strategy we're running. It's pretty cool. I can kind of talk about that if we have time. So we run instant form for that because it's easy for tracking. But generally, I would try and run direct to funnel kind of as much as possible because you tend to get higher quality leads, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Anything else on targeting? Cool.
There was one question I hadn't
Yep.
creative. There's obviously ad creative that you can have advertising on for social proof, and then there's another one that's more value based
Okay, that's a good
What
one.
should you go?
Okay, so this is good. I didn't think of this one. So you could do like an entire 3 days on this. So let's say, for example, we look at creatives. You've got cold, you've got warm. So cold is like people who do not know you. So generally, if you try and run social proof ads at people who don't know you, it doesn't work very well. So that's where you need to go like negative hook thing to kind of trigger someone in. Warm, what we do that absolutely crushes it is client results. We will just bombard people with client testimonials results. If you look on my Instagram feed, we film some ads. I'm like, this is gonna make us so much money. You know, you watch the ad, I'm like, this is so fucking good. So we had we had a big event last weekend. I rented the biggest fucking super yacht in Dubai. It was G. Mainly because I'm like a child and I could like gave me an excuse to fucking do it. So I got 3 of my clients who were just crushing it. And I was like, I asked them a question. I was like, how much money do you make as an online coach? And like just like a back and forth like that with 3 of them. We cut it together into like an app, into ads, into reels. There's a reel that went out maybe like a day or 2 ago with a guy with his top off. He's like, oh yeah, I make $56,000 a month. And obviously that's triggering as fuck to someone who's like a personal trainer in gym group or wherever, and they think it's scammy. But this is the job from a marketing standpoint. That type of thing from a warm aspect is huge. Because if say for example someone's a fitness trainer and they follow me and they want to scale their business, and all they see every single time they come on social media is another testimonial, another testimonial, another testimonial, the point, their breaking point, like I need to fucking deal with this, who do they go to? So like the thing I would say from a marketing standpoint is you want your name to be the first person they think of to solve X problem. And that's kind of like I come onto like a spiderweb marketing thing of just like, something I took from Grant Cardone when I was younger is like omnipresence. It's like be everywhere at all times. And that's essentially kind of what you can do from retargeting ads. So for this, I would do things like testimonials. From experience, the ones that like Jane, the fitness client, saying she lost 10 pounds on like a selfie or do shit, they don't do very well. But if you can have like 2 people in the video kind of like asking a question, works very, very well. Other one is stuff like graphics. So for us, like we run graphics of like, oh, this coach made 200K a month or whatever it might be. You could run a graphics if you're, for example, a fitness coach where it's like you and your client and it's like, find out how Charlie dropped 20 pounds in 12 weeks or something. So having you with the client is very powerful because it also creates more trust. And you also have to think from paid advertising, marketing, content. The number one thing we have to do is build trust because no one will buy from you unless they trust you. Like you guys wouldn't have bought today from Eddie if you didn't trust him, right? So like you have to get that trust in there, which you can kind of like artificially create by just hammering this. Now, why this works really well is you don't have to spend much money on it, particularly if you don't have a massive audience. So that is like the low-hanging fruit when you come into paid advertising. If you want to do a VSL or do whatever, I would start here because this is like the easiest thing to make money. To try and like drag someone off the internet who has no idea who you are to try and sell them into something is kind of like an art form. So when it comes to cold traffic, I would just start negative hooks. And then the goal here, it's unusual these are going to be like insanely profitable. Like if you can get 3 to 1 on the front end, you're laughing. But in terms of what will happen, this is a great audience for anyone actually as well. If you run cold traffic at like high volume, you can then retarget them into the warm. And then what we do is we retarget people who've watched over 75% of any of these ads. So like we're literally warming people up through the entire process. So we laugh because it's clever. Because if someone's watched a minute's reel or a minute piece of content, they're probably quite interested in what you're talking about. And then pops up like really heavy social proof. You're constantly trying to pull them in. What I also try and do is I try and play around with stuff from a content perspective. So like I haven't got my phone, but a lot of time I'll film kind of like selfie style stuff of like, and just kind of off the cuff and just test it because it's also more authentic. Does anyone want a massive hack as well, which is working right now because this is sick? So just don't tell anyone outside this room. So for this demographic of warm audiences, if you want to get ads to convert, you want to make it look like it's not an ad. So on Instagram, people put up polls where it's like, ask me a question. So I create ads which are like, ask me a question, but it's not a fucking piece of organic content, it's an ad. So we will I'll make a selfie style reel being like, oh, these are the craziest client results we've had, this person did this person did this, da, da, da. So like I'll put in the question box, it will say, ask me a question, what's the craziest client result you've had? And then I'll be like, oh, we get so many client results, it's amazing. Chris went from 5K a month to 50K a month. Giacomo went from 0 to 60K a month for 4 months. This is all using this 3-step system, blah, blah, blah. Hit the link below if you want to see it. Like, Now, why that works is it just looks like it's a story, and it pops up in people's stories feed. They don't even realize it's an ad. So like that absolutely fucking slays. And you can kind of do, you can do different variations of that, and that's also like where you, from a marketing perspective, you have to be creative and really take initiative with things like that. So like again, I wouldn't probably use that on a cold traffic, but for warm people, it works very, very well. Any other questions on that? Cool.
Just one question.
Shoot.
If I don't have, for example, like for now at this point, I have like around, I would say, 7, 8 client testimonials, like people who made, 5K, 7K, and one lady, as I told you, after the call with me, she made like 3.5K in like the 24 hours. So can I use also this testimonials after the strategy sessions instead of just the client results, or combine them? What do you suggest?
The answer is yes, always yes, but it's just how you package those up to look clean. So like, for example, you could make, I mentioned to you earlier about doing like a carousel case study. You could create a carousel of how I helped Jane make 5K after our first coaching session. Jane was struggling with this. She didn't know how to generate leads. I taught her how to do this. Unique mechanism. If you want if you want to find out more, blah, 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 hit the link. I kind of make it like a graphic carousel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So carousel and video, just to make sure I can combine it.
You could do a carousel of it. Yeah, that would work. You could do, I would just say from like, if the video testimonial is kind of shit in terms of quality, it just won't perform very well.
I have all different ages. I have a lady like 75 years old. I have a kid like 15 years old.
Yeah, I would try it. I would kind of be specific about the quality of the ad though, because if you're trying to take like clippings out of Zoom and stuff, they're just pants really. So like, I would also try and be like, if anyone in here, if you do events, try and get as many like kind of testimonials from people in person as well. Like super, super powerful. And even like testing stuff actually. So like I mentioned about, if you look on my Instagram, the guy on the boat, we filmed 3-4 variations of that on the boat. We filmed 3-4 variations in the gym with different people. I then also tried filming, I said to you earlier, like the best hook we have is like no clue. So I was like, okay, fuck it, let's film this. So I was like, on the back of the boat, I was like, do you have no clue how to scale a online fitness business? Check this out. So then there's a hook and then it goes into the client testimonial. But as I anticipated, it works way better when you've got the topless dude with his shirt off being like, yeah, I make 56K a month in the first 3 months, the first 3 seconds. So I would try and test stuff. And if you create ads, if you think ahead, you can then play around with things and test stuff.
I noticed you mentioned testing like hooks, for example. Do you also test call to actions a lot, also depending on what the ad is going to funnel them into, whether it's an instant form, profile, or to your landing page?
As in what I say or how it's written?
Both. So like, for example, would you notice that a certain call to action will drive better conversion to a funnel?
Okay, so I'll give you some hacks for that. So with the CTA, Facebook is gnarly now, you can just put on AI CTAs, it will adjust the CTAs, it's sick. Like we had a webinar we did like 2 weeks ago and it comes up on the button being like the date. Someone like screenshot like, how do you do this? I have fucking no idea. Like, so like, it will do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. One thing that works really well, I think everyone will agree with this, most people are really fucking lazy. So if you sell, like one of the things I say in a lot of ads is like, you can implement this in under 60 minutes, rather than like this is gonna take you fucking 5 weeks. So like if you've got something like that, like you've got something you want to try and get people into, try and make it sound really easy to like absorb and get into it, because that will increase the amount of people coming through from the CTA, like reducing friction, if that makes sense.
At what point did you start adding other funnels? So you mentioned webinars, call funnels. I think you said like free calls as well.
Yeah. So if you have something that works, like this is probably, if you're right, I'll tell a story. So when I moved to Dubai, I was getting divorced, going through a very like difficult personal time. I was on a fucking warpath. We just had like the biggest month in our fitness business. I made like £300,000. I was like, I kind of thought I was fucking Billy Big Shit and moved here and I was like gunning it. I was like, I'm gonna make £1 million a month of fitness. I got a whiteboard and wrote every fucking strategy I could think of. I hired fucking everyone possible and it was a complete fucking disaster and a mess. Like none of it worked. Because if you try and do everything, nothing will work. So what I would try and do, and I'll go through that in terms of a strategy section in a minute, is focus on the, this is a good, I actually spoke about this at our event. So the framework I kind of think about from like a decision-making process is RICE. So that stands for reach, impact, cost, ease. Okay, so I will run every decision via this. Okay, so like reach, how many people are going to see this? Impact, how much could this change my business? How much is this going to cost in terms of time, money, and people's resources? How easy is this to execute? So if I look, for example, we've started doing some webinars recently. They make money. It's pretty simple for us. Reach, yeah, I can get in front of some eyeballs on that. Impact, we make money. It's not huge, but it does quite well. Cost, kind of fuck all, really. Ease was, I just put on Notion, can you build me this funnel? They did it, and then I turned up for an hour, and I got paid like $2,000 to picture people for an hour because we sold tickets on it. So I'd also suggest if you do webinars, if you put, what we did is this, it's kind of off topic, but we made them £27 for an AI scaling webinar, and we had an upsell that was like, I think it was 47. So our average ticket price ended up being like 50 quid. So I made like over $2,000 from just getting to sell people for an hour. So I made money regardless of anyone bought, and they did. But that's kind of the framework in terms of like how I'd make decisions. What I would start with is the easiest strategy to execute that will make money, and scale that as much as possible, and then try and go up the ladder from that. And that kind of leads into what I was going to kind of talk about in terms of like strategies. I think this is kind of what Mehdi teaches as well. So like the easiest one is IG profile funnel, essentially. In base math is we have like, let's do my really shit drawings. That's stickman me, this is my IG profile. Basically funnel in, we just want to blast traffic into this. And all we're trying to do is we're trying to get people to engage with our account, so then we can basically engage back and DM them and create conversations. Now, what you're looking to do with an IG funnel like this, the kind of KPIs and metrics we look at generally, don't take this as verbatim, is let's put CPF. Cost per follower is about £1, about $1. That's in kind of fitness. For my niche, it's more, maybe 6 to 8. Now, if I say, for example, spent £100 a day, I get 100 followers, and it's roughly the right type of avatar, I should be able to get at least 3 of those probably on the call. So if I spend £100 and I got 3 calls booked, what's the likelihood I can close one of those people for at least £1,000? Probably pretty high. So that's kind of like the base mass that I would look at. Also, why I try and get people to get a minimum of 100 followers a day. We kind of specialize very heavily in, we do a lot of DM setting. I'll kind of jump back to the VSL a little bit as well, because it kind of makes sense. With DM setting, there's a threshold in terms of how many new conversations you can start every day before Instagram has a fucking meltdown. So with that, what we try and do is get people up to about 100, like new conversations that are the right ICA, and that generally doesn't tend to have any problems on the accounts. We have some clients who are doing like 500, but I'm a bit of the opinion of like, don't kill the golden goose, because I've had multiple problems with Instagram. I had someone blackmail me for €30,000 trying to hack my account last year, like loads of other bad shit happened. So I try and just keep us within like a decent range and not cause too many problems, because it can be a bit problematic, which is also one of the reasons why I need to diversify strategies. So with this whole process, I can come on to that as well, but it's also why like your organic content and your messaging, a bit like I said to you about your profile, has to be very clear about who you work with and who you are for and who you are not for. Because it then means that the people who are clicking your profile be like, oh yeah, like I like what this person's about, this is my exact thing. One of the things I do is I will engineer the top posts on my profile to be the things I want people to see. So I'll remove a lot of the reels, the kind of B-roll stuff or kind of top of funnel things, because I want people to see the social proof, or I want to see things that build trust, right? So like removing reels from the top of feed is a big one. And then where the money is made, we've got loads of coaches to over 100K a month, probably most of them actually up there, to be fair, just doing this very simple thing of boosted reels into an Instagram profile to get views, to get followers, engage with followers. We then essentially have a follow-up system, and we'll do somewhere between 1,000 to 1,500 follow-ups a day. So we use a tagging system via Go High Level or Meta Business Suite, and that allows us to churn inboxes. So essentially all we're doing is we're just creating a new pipeline of people that we can have conversations with and kind of warm up. So this is, for me, I say to anyone, this is like base level number 1 in terms of paid advertising, least friction, easiest to execute. I would start here. Is it the one that's the most scalable indefinitely? Probably not. But that's like, I recommend everyone does that because it works. Does anyone have any questions on that?
You see the 100 to 500?
Yeah.
That's new people coming from ads, so reaching out to them, right?
It can be new ads, followers from wherever really, but you just want to make sure your ICA is like people who are actually going to buy from you.
Might be going a bit off tangent. But
Sorry?
Can you tell me a little bit about once the followers
Okay, so I can give you another massive hack. So you can keep this to yourself. So would you be more likely to respond if someone sent you a message or someone sent you a kind of personalized voice note? Okay, so what we do is you can message yourself on Instagram and you can save a bank of voice notes. And then you can forward those voice notes to said prospect and they think you've just said it right then, but it's not you.
Don't you mention their names?
So I would obviously avoid that. We have before used things like 11 Labs, use AI, but it kind of gets a bit complicated at volume. So we would start the first message would be like, hey, thanks so much for following. Are you looking to scale your fitness business? Like, what's the biggest thing you're stuck with? Is it lead generation, sales, whatever it is? Or let's say you're a fitness coach. But like, thank you so much for following. Are you looking to build muscle or burn body fat? What have you tried before? I just want to know so I can try and send you something like a resource or a video that might help you. So like, keep it very kind of like open conversation. And with the highest leverage thing you can have is this first message you send someone here, like optimizing that is critical. So you want to track the reply rate on that because if you can improve that, like magic can happen. So generally the framework I see that works best is like a this or that. So it's like you're giving people are lazy, like I said earlier. So you want to give them the kind of the answer of like, do you want to build muscle or do you want to burn body fat? Do you want to learn to run paid ads or do you want to build your business with organic content? Oh, I want to run ads. Okay, cool. So like, have you tried a VSL? Like, do you see how it naturally kind of goes down the garden path?
Real quick, you don't run this funnel anymore.
We do.
Okay.
Like we inadvertently do. So I'll boost a lot of content. Most of our ad traffic isn't at this now because we have a lot of followers coming through anyway.
Makes sense.
And the disadvantage of this is it's kind of hard to track. So how you would track that, and I'll come on to tracking later on, is essentially, if anyone wants to make more money in here, every time someone signs up, find where they came from. What's the first message that they came from? If you use something like Hyros, it's great because you can see the actual website, YouTube, whatever. So what we would do is if they came from an outbound message, and let's say you paid me 3K and we outbound messaged you originally, I would then, okay, in October, let's say in October I made 10K from people I outbounded. And let's say I spent £1,000 on boosted reels. I'd be like, okay, cool. There's no fucking way that's not really profitable. So I'm just going to keep spending and just kind of look at this ratio. And I would kind of, I said earlier, like, ads are more profitable than you kind of realize because people will start to follow you and then they'll inbound message. So like, as long as this metric is kind of like 3 to 4 to 1, I would just kind of keep spending. And then the big thing I would look at is the cost per follow, which you can see individually on each reel if you click on the insights. Where I see a cap where these tend to go up shit's creek probably is if you start to scale like above pretty much any ad set, above 200 a day, they start to get a bit wobbly. So you're sometimes better off just having more ads at a lower budget.
You see with the voicemail thing that you're doing, so
Yeah.
I do that as well. Have you managed to find a way to automate that, or is it like you give yourself?
So you can use things. Okay, the answers are always it depends. I know it doesn't really fucking help, but so which is why it's good for people to have the right advice for the business because the same generic thing doesn't work for everyone. If someone has a lot of traffic, the worst thing you can do is have fully automated new follower messages or stuff like that. So let's say, for example, I've got an account and I can get a lot of viral videos and I get loads of people from India who follow me. I don't want to send 1,000 messages to new followers from India and start conversations because it's going to make a mess in my inbox and my setter can't find the person who makes 100 grand a month because there's all these other leads that come in that are never going to buy anything. If you actually want a funny story, I saw on LinkedIn that someone was having a massive pop at the Diary of the CEO because he has like an automation thing on like his Instagram where it's like if they comment a certain thing, it sends in the podcast episode, and it was firing when people were like complaining and kicking off, which I thought was quite funny. But side tangent. So I would generally try and keep it manual, and I would say that the most important thing is if you sell a high-ticket coaching service, it's the quality of the conversation and the quality of the lead nurture is the most important thing. The DM setters we have are like the Cristiano Ronaldo and Leo Messi of fucking DM setting. Like one of them's 18 he's been working with us for 2 years since he was 16 from Romania. I mentioned about Eastern European was savage. The other one's Serbian. They're like fucking beasts. So those people are really kind of what you want, and their ability to have deep conversations and understand the avatar and you training them well is important. I can go on to like DM setter training stuff you want to later on. I also wouldn't suggest there's a fucking buzz about using AI DM setters. So Jordan Lee is a good friend of mine, spoke at my event at the weekend. They make $6 million a month. I was like, Jordan, do you use AI for DM setting? He's like, fuck no. He has a business that sells AI. They make $6 million a month. They do it with people because people will make more money and it will outperform a robot. And the cost of them burning a lead is way too high. Way too high. Anything else?
Sorry.
That's right.
Because we sell the high-ticket coaching.
Pay me by the questions, it's fine.
Because we sell high-ticket coaching, then would you say in the very first voice note, which is personalized, do you provide quite a bit of value as well to
Yeah, so one of the things,
I
I'm going to kind of jump forward a bit. That's next slide, there you go. So why do I like talking about spiderweb marketing? We pull people into from wherever. I'll drive them into YouTube, podcast, LinkedIn. We have so much fucking content that it's they're into the spider's web. So we have so many resources that we can push people into. And the ideal thing is if you can take people from short form platforms into some of the long form stuff, that's like a machine that's high leverage that's warming people up all the time. So why I'm happy to be kind of aggressive from a marketing standpoint is I know we have 65, 70,000 leads in our CRM system that eventually a lot of them will buy. So it's there's a lot of lead nurture that's kind of going on there.
Do you have more than one Instagram and YouTube?
We might have 5, 6 Instagram accounts. So I've got my main Instagram account, I've got a personal one, which is mine for kind of fucking around, that I use to follow people who I actually like their content, rather than my main one, which is kind of a bit of retarded. We also do DM setting on that, and also why it works well is because they think it's actually me because it's got 1,200 followers. We have one which is our 7-figure scaling systems business account. We have one which is our podcast, and we have another one which is for our beginner program called Fit Pro Launch Systems. The beginner one we don't really do much with because we've got enough accounts, but we just post content on it. But why do I do that? Is that then we've got 4 places we can outbound. I said about just doing more of the thing that works? Yeah. I've fucking got 4 accounts we can outbound off. So if we had an issue on this 7-figure account that we got, it wouldn't let us message. So I was like, okay, cool. YouTube Pedro, just go and fucking spend your time on the other accounts, and LinkedIn, and off you go. So it's kind of diversifying resources, and we've got a big media team who can push content into all those platforms. So it kind of works. That's that. And then YouTube, we've technically got 3 accounts. So I had a fitness channel with 35,000 subscribers, which we not really sure transparently what to do with yet. My main business YouTube channel, and then we have a podcast. So they're different types of content. And it's our ability to push more content out because long form platforms won't let you post. I did a stage where I did a video every day on YouTube for our business channel for 30 plus days. It got a bit much after a while, but they don't like too much volume, as you would know. You kind of you're capping yourself at a certain point. So by going wider and having more accounts gives us more distribution. So we have loads of sick podcasts that we've kind of lined up with clients we've done the last few weeks and big name guests. And the podcast we use as top of funnel traffic from big names, and then authority for me as an individual, and then also client testimonials and having clients on there. So as a conversion tool, that absolutely slays, as does YouTube. If that answers the question.
So you've got 2 different audiences. You've got the beginners, and then you've got people that already run the business.
Yeah.
So it's launch the business or scale the business.
Yeah.
We've got the same thing. I'm wondering if you would segment the profiles on all platforms, specifically YouTube. I've been going back and forth on it, but I've built a lot of goodwill and social proof on the main channel. But I also don't want to burn out the sophisticated people where they're like, what the fuck is this content posting?
Who do you make the most money from?
I would honestly argue it's probably a 50-50 split, but I know the beginners are more scalable.
Yeah, it's the same as what we do. So that's why we went. For context, I had a lot of authority in fitness. I went to the top end of the market and just worked with the best people. And then we worked down, and I know eventually our bigger beginner program is going to be the biggest thing because there's just so many people we can blast into it. Yeah, we can just it's basically B2C. So what I would suggest with that is, my personal opinion is I'd rather show too much knowledge as an authority than not enough. Because if I'm someone who's really driven and hungry and want to be really successful, if you're making a video about how to make 100K a month and I only make 5K a month, I'm going to watch your video. But if I'm making 20K a month and you're making a video about making 5K a month, I'm not going to watch your video. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same as the event we had last weekend. We had coaches doing $500,000 a month there or whatever, and we had some people doing fucking business yet. But I'd rather go the higher end of the spectrum of what I'm talking about than the lower end. And the way I kind of explain it to people is I'm increasing the glass ceiling of what you think is possible and your exposure, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I would kind of do some of both. So like one of our most popular YouTube videos is like I got two, for example, how to make 5K a month as a fitness coach, and then it's like 50, 60,000 views. And the other one's like, we did one recently, it's probably the best YouTube video we've ever made. If you just wanted free coaching, it basically is everything we do for free. It's maybe like 3 hours long, but it's like how to make 100K a month as an online coach, like full blueprint, where I'd go through on like a whiteboard, like literally kind of like do now, like how to do everything. So I kind of do a blend of both, but what I see works is if you can create videos that are assets that you can then use in this, we feed a lot of these videos back into here. But then also when it comes to, we spoke about selling to cold people, we will take these videos and podcasts and we send them to the cold people before calls. Because I know if they start watching the videos, they'll start getting bought in and they'll be like, oh, okay, shit, like this is legit. And they just binge, hopefully, is the idea.
Cool, thank you.
Okay.
So I'm running that funnel at the moment.
Yeah.
How do you define a qualified follower? Is it after the first DM, do you need help, or is it judging by what's on their profile?
What's on their profile, so like name, profile pictures, all this type of stuff, you can kind of just tell. So like you're very clear of like who your specific demographic is, that's what I would look at. And then the process of elimination, so say for example you're running ads and the cost per follower is good, but they're kind of like retards politely coming through. You then want to add in like interest targeting to improve the quality of people coming in. This will then probably go up, but you kind of get what you pay for. If that doesn't work, then what I would do is I go back to stage one and try and change the creative.
Yeah, I've tried finding that statistic. All I can find is the cost per profile visit. I can never find cost per follower.
You can do it in the Instagram app if you boost it. Are you running it as a traffic
So
ad?
I go into the Meta Business Ads Manager, and then on my Instagram reel, I'll boost it from the Ads Manager.
Yeah, you can't see it in that. So you have to run it via, we do that by actually posting the actual reel, and then we will boost it in Meta Business Suite or on Google Chrome on the computer. The actual highest, the one that works best is boosting on Google Chrome on the computer. Long story short, but Facebook and Instagram used to be separate companies. They kind of work on separate algorithms still technically. Just make sure you don't boost the thing in the app because you get charged more from Apple.
But then if you boost it, can you still run it to a lookalike audience?
You can't run it to lookalike audience, you can only run it to interest targeting.
Just to add, don't know if you know, but I don't know how accurate this is, but if you go onto Facebook Ads Manager, you hover over the number of profile visits, it will also tell you follows.
Okay.
Yeah, it tells you the follows. And then you can just do a calculation how much you spend divided by, followers divided by how much you spend.
We start trying to build a software to try and automate a lot of this in the tracking, but the API in the back end is like shit for Facebook.
What's your sequencing if somebody doesn't respond to your first post at DM?
Buy or die, so like we just keep chasing them in a polite way. So like we'll try and send them more value, unsend a message, resend message, double tap message, re-engage with their content. So we have like a follow-up system we use in Go High Level, and they just keep going through the messages.
Non-stop. And do you find people who respond to you?
Some people will tell you to fuck off. Like, often I open my account and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, which is why I would try and stay off there. But you ask why I have another account. That's kind of one of the reasons why, because we don't do that so much on that one. So it is what it is. I wouldn't be too concerned about that.
But then, how does the appointment setter stay on top of everything? Because you just continues to pile on.
Because you can use a tagging system and Go High Level. So we'll have like first message, message 2, follow-up 2, follow-up 3. And they just change the tags as they send the messages, and then like each day they'll just go on, okay, all the things in follow-up 3, they'll message all those people, then it moves them to follow-up 4. So we have kind of like, we create like a CRM system in the back end, if that makes sense. Any other question? Shoot.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Sorry, I was just going to say, what do you do when, for example, let's say you follow up with people you follow up,
Yeah.
and let's say you do 10, and then at some point in that follow-up system, they just say, piss off, or I'm not interested.
At that point, we just kind of call it a day.
Would you not move them to I'm not interested? Say,
Yeah. So like, yeah, that's literally at that point we kind of just pull them out.
And then send them. Would you not send them emails or later down the line on like an offer?
They'll be on our email CRM system, but we just fucking move them out of it because at that point they're probably a bit of a dick in themselves, to be honest with you. So if someone, I'd rather people just blocked us. I was like, it's fine. What's funny though is with that is that if they just reply, they get re-engaged with Facebook ads as someone who's engaged with us, so they keep getting shown ads, which is kind of funny. Which is kind of funny.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm in business for 12 years and I'm not really involved
Okay.
with the online space, so to say, so massive respect.
Thank you.
for what you built. I run a company by myself, or multiple, and I think part of it is always trying to anticipate the future a little bit and to see what direction it's going to look like in the future. I think you're an authority in what you do, so I'm very curious in the question, like, what is the potential risk that you're going to see in the future, and how do you prepare yourself for that? Because I assume you have some knowledge around that, and I'm curious to learn about that.
So one of the best things anyone can do in business is what's called a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. What's the biggest threat in the world right now?
AI.
So what combats that? Personal brand. And then also focusing on high ticket, higher end of the market, not the bottom end of the market selling cheap. Like fitness coaches are selling $20 fucking month workouts are done. Because that type of person will just go on ChatGPT. Because people still want accountability from individuals. Like I paid a lot of money to spend some time with Alex Mose and his team in Vegas, and I flew 44 hours for one day to go and do it. Could I probably got the same answers on ChatGPT? Yes, but am I going to take more from someone I respect telling me what to do? Yes. So I think it's only going to make some things more extreme, which is why people need to kind of become category king in their thing quicker and create brand, reputation, all these types of things. But coaching, consulting, in my opinion, in the next 5 years isn't going anywhere because people will still want to work with actual human beings, not fucking ChatGPT on their phone. Like, these things are tools and systems to be utilized, and the people who use them are just going to rinse everyone else, and the people who don't are the people who are going to kind of get left behind.
Do you think it's getting more difficult for people getting qualified leads in the future because everyone is going to somehow use the same system to a certain extent?
No, yes and no. So things go in cycles. And this is where the power of knowledge and information is. You've got to be at the front of the cycle. And credit to everyone here and kudos to that. You get the front of the knowledge cycle by being in the right rooms and the right environments because you know shit before anyone else does. And that's how you can have an unfair advantage. So it's always kind of been a kind of a level playing field. But like I said earlier, most people are really lazy. So it's we work with a lot of clients. Like we can give everyone everything and do everything for them, and they still don't fucking do it. So it's like not everyone is going to kind of have the minerals to kind of do the thing and have what it takes. So it's a more level playing field than it ever has been, and the barriers to entry are lower. But you also have more ability to go further faster because of the technology and the access to information. You asked about what I was doing when I was 21. I started my job as an estate agent and was making £12,000 a year. So like the opportunities people have now is insane at like 21. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. Last question would be, what was the biggest learning you had to overcome in your journey to get to the level that you have right now?
Accepting failure. Like 3/4 of things not going to work. Which is why I said to people, if like you find something that works, just like ride it fucking to the moon, and then don't get something kind of like 50% working, but I'm going to go start this other thing now, or like start this other bit. Like, I've done loads of stupid shit. Like I had a CBD business, I did Forex trading, not selling it, but like just do more of the thing that kind of works. The reason our business is doing really well is like the last few months I've done nothing else other than kind of focusing on the same things and trying not to get distracted. The problem is most people get bored before they get successful, so have like a bad month or two and then they're like, oh, I want to go and fucking sell crypto or do whatever else now.
What is your biggest challenge, like being in your shoes right now? What is the biggest challenge that you're facing right now?
I would say, that's a really good question. Removing limiting beliefs. So like if I give and that may sound stupid, but like everyone in here has limiting beliefs at different levels. So a lot of mine was in terms of, oh, I should only be spending this amount of ads because our ROAS isn't at 50. So like, and then I was like, well, like, fuck it. If I just spend 50% more and let's see what happens. Just spent 50% more. We made way more money. So I was like, okay. So like, I had the money to do it. I just wasn't doing it. So a lot of it is you kind of like change. You know, I said earlier about disconnecting from things, like the emotional attachment, removing emotional attachment from money, and being like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it and see what happens.
So would you say it's a lot about first thinking principle?
100%. So I look at foundations of like, why I showed earlier that graphic of like the ad traffic. If 1.8 million people have seen me on the internet, there's an intrinsic value to that at some point. They might not buy right now, but some of those people are going to buy in 6 to 12 months' time, or they've come into the podcast or the YouTube. So like, I'm just trying to pull people in from all these sources and like build up this bank of kind of goodwill, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm curious to know what the progression looked like from like $300K to $1 million a month. Was it predominantly organic at the time? You cracked ads, and then it was just a case of putting more money in. What did that?
The flipping point for most people is going to be is turning into paid. So like, everyone makes money here from organic content, right? You make a lot of money from paid traffic. So like, I would say just not being afraid to lose money on that is probably the biggest thing, and testing it, and also focusing on simple strategies. So like, I would do this first. The second thing I would then go to is then going into like a paid ads VSL. So like the second big ad strategy that's the easiest one to do, and this is so like I kind of didn't really do. Actually, if I'm transparent, why I didn't do this for a long time, I'm quite lazy with some things. So it's like I can't be asked to fucking write a VSL script, but I don't have to write it anymore because I use AI. So if I can make as many as I want, so I made 4, and we just tested them all. So if you come to a VSL, we teach people to use AI to kind of write these, and then I would just launch that and test it on warm traffic. So like, this is kind of the next layer thing. If you've got organic content that's doing well, I would then have something that's hitting those people, that's bringing them directly to kind of book a call, buy the thing, because there's a lot of people who won't engage from DMs, they won't necessarily book a call from your bio, whatever the thing is. And also try and have something else that's like an ecosystem. So we kind of had a VSL before. If I talk about like our 5C course, we've got maybe 7,000 people in the school community now, of leads we've brought into this. And then
free school community,
yeah.
right? And then do you have somebody in there that's nurturing the leads, like a DM set on school?
We do, transparently, from actually setting in school doesn't work particularly well,
Yes.
but the information in there is great. But what we have is we have opt-in page. Here's a system that helps us book 40,000 sales calls or whatever. And then the second thing is a VSL, basically, of like, this is a system we used in terms of helped us make over $10 million in fitness. If you want help in terms of implementing this and the other stuff in the course, book in a free diagnostic call where we break down where you are in your business, blah, 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 blah. And then we try and get them into a call. Now, the way I try and make ads profitable, and this is fucking boring, I've never seen anyone else do this before, as people come into this funnel, I'm going to try and hit them with as many ways as possible. So we're going to hit them with email, which transparently is fucking garbage, but we do it anyway, it's automated. Anyone can, welcome to disagree, but it's not my opinion. The second way that this works really, really well, and obviously they go into school and we'll set them from there. Some of them will obviously be self-booked from going into the VSL, but the third thing that fucking absolutely crushes that nobody else does, we make a lot of money from DM setting on Instagram. So what do I want to get?
Instagram handles.
More people I can fucking set on Instagram. So what we do on our funnel and the opt-in, we ask people's IG username. That IG username shoots into a Slack channel that on the accounts we have, we then DM the person. Hey, I just wanted to check you managed to get into the 5C course. Okay, we've had some technical issues. But then what we also do is we call them. So we do about 2,000 calls a day, and then we also WhatsApp them. So like, we're coming at these people in so many different ways. So this is actually from a paid ads perspective right now, our most profitable and scalable system. Our VSL's crushing on warm. It's doing well on cold traffic to some areas of the US, but we're kind of tinkering with that. But this we probably built over 12 to 18 months. I started that in, to give you an example, this was summer of 2023 I started that system. We're now like 2.5 years. So it's like slowly kind of being improved.
I see you got right now behind you a spider web.
Yeah.
You've got LinkedIn, you've got Meta, you've got Instagram.
LinkedIn's a great platform. We talk about that as well if you want.
Yeah.
But
For somebody who's going basically from 0 to 50K, doesn't have a big team or anything like that, would you just say, wouldn't it make sense just to be straight line Instagram DMs, YouTube,
100%.
focus on that and not spread yourself too thin?
this is like, I'm a bit like, if I was to give you some advice, I've done a lot of things like the exact opposite way of how you should do them and how to tell somebody. It's like I started and was trying to do everything. And if I was to give some advice day one, pick the easiest platform you can make money on, focus on that as like your primary content thing, get that to work, and then kind of diversify. If you like making content, my suggestion, because it's high leverage, would be focus on Instagram, 1 YouTube video a week. That would be what I would kind of look at. Even what I say about YouTube as 1 video a week is you can use these as resources in DMs or to warm people up. So like that's kind of my thought process. If you try and do fucking multiple Instagram accounts, YouTube, LinkedIn, I could talk about, we've got maybe 2,000 editors clipping content of me on the internet at the moment as well, so I can kind of talk about that. But yeah, I try and keep things as simple as possible. Shoot.
You mentioned DM setting.
Yeah.
I just hired one recently, and as far as like following up, as far as like the automations, like I had them go into ManyChat, and there's where you can tag a bunch of things, have conversations in there. What do you recommend for training them, basically?
So in terms of training setters, one of the reasons people's businesses don't do that well is, okay, I'll reframe the question. So people moan, this might not be you, but people moan about their team, but then like you hired them and you trained them. So it's like we have to take ownership and responsibility. If someone really fucks something up in my business, ultimately it's my fault because I put them there. So there's only 2 meetings I have every day, and one is lead gen, and the other is our sales team. So those are the only 2 things I do every day that are like have to be done. If I do nothing else, like I can kind of just maintain the business doing that, because I want to know, I'm the marketer, so I want to know specifically, okay, what are the leads like on Instagram? What's new followers coming into the account? Like get information back from people on the front line, and the same thing from sales is I want to train them, know what the objections are, what's coming up, what are the problems. If you're the smartest person in your business, this is the highest leverage thing you can do, where you can use your influence across a team of people. A lot of people struggle to build teams, and that's ultimately where a lot of people end up with a job rather than the business, where they're kind of doing everything. My thing is like, I want to be able to kind of float around and do what I want. I'm happy to do an hour or whatever of that day, and I like making content. I like doing stuff like this. So like, I want to kind of live a life by design, where I get to do the things I want to do rather than spending all day in DM, sales calls, coaching people, whatever it is. So I say managing them, and if you come to managing your team, I'd have a set training cadence for sales of like, Monday we do this, Tuesday we do this, Wednesday we do this. For setters, the easiest thing to do is to actually review conversations and go through them. And then what I'd also do is lead from example. So like, you need to show them what good looks like, and also ask them, this is kind of off topic of ads, but I'll go into it because I think it's really relevant. If you talk about like managing teams, I got this from Paul Daly, who was the CEO for Iman Ghazi for a while. He's a good friend of mine I did a podcast with. We created a Slack channel which is called Progress Every Day. This is absolutely baller if you hate meetings and you want to manage your team. What we do is I get everyone to send me, who reports directly to me, a Loom video at the end of every day. What have you done today? Like, what's going on? Like, give me update feedback. What's the biggest thing you're focusing on tomorrow that's going to like move the needle? And like, what do you specifically need help with? So I'm asking for kind of like quick feedback loops in a video format. Why the video works well is they can screen share anything if they need to, but also they can't hide. So it makes it easy in terms of how to actually manage a business and get quick feedback without having to do like 4 15-minute meetings every day with your team. Does that make sense?
No, thank you.
Helpful?
Very surprised that you mentioned emails are shit, given quite a lot of other people that swear by them, like even
Well, like James Smith.
Alex, James Smith, yeah. How comes? What
Have you bought anything from email recently?
no.
Has anyone in this room bought anything from email recently?
I get the email all the time, just ignore them.
It's like, it's fucking 0 from 20. See what I mean?
Do you do any emails?
Yeah, of course I do it, but like it's not, we make some money from it, but if you're, we have like 200,000 emails and it's a really high leverage thing that's easy to do. It's not something I'd plug it into all our funnels, and yes, you need to have all this built out, but in my opinion, people don't buy so much from emails. You might disagree.
No, I was just going to ask, how are you doing your Black Friday? Are you doing an email blast, I'm guessing?
Yeah, so we'll do email as well. So we'll do email, ads, organic content. So like I put a post up before I came here. At the end of the caption, we'll talk about Black Friday. Carousels, at the end of the carousel, talk about Black Friday. We'll put it on our stories a couple times during the week. Some of our ads will talk about Black Friday. One of the easiest things to look at for like, you mentioned about the email thing is like, there's some amount of like limiting beliefs. It's like, I personally wouldn't buy from a VSL from someone, but I'm also a really easy person to sell to. So like if I want the thing, I'll just buy it. But email marketing for like high ticket stuff, email's great for omnipresence to like warm people up. But in my opinion, for like a purely conversion thing for like high ticket coaching, it's worth, like, I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm not gonna be like, build your entire business on fucking email. Because actually, and I'll explain exactly why. How do you get the emails?
Giving a lead magnet?
Okay, but how do you give out the lead magnet?
Doing something of value, giving them something of value.
Okay, but how do you get the traffic?
Ads.
Organic.
running paid ads. So why not just run the ad to get someone on the call and sell them the fucking thing in the first place?
But then one would argue you have to stay on top of them for a while because somebody's not be
Yeah, but that's also where that's not necessarily retargeting, but that's not necessarily where email is the best thing to that. It might be DM setting, it might be WhatsApp follow-up, dialing. See what I mean? I'm not saying don't do email, but it's not. If I was to list like the 10 ways you could get a lead, like someone to pay you, it's, other than maybe selling events tickets or like for our webinars, for more expensive stuff, it's not great.
How do you create so many offers and like resources for people? And like in my position right now, where I'm doing everything pretty much, how do you create that?
That's a really good question. So often you can get people better results by actually giving them less. So one of the things we've had to do is kind of like actually cull some of the content we have in our training libraries because there's too much stuff. And then people spend too much time trying to learn things and not enough time doing. So I would try and, like for example, if you're the school community, try and lock stuff back. And I would try and think about everything with your business as like MVP, like minimum viable process of like how can you get the end outcome with the minimal amount of things involved or things that can kind of break, if that makes sense.
Okay, and like as far as like getting people in, like opting lead magnets,
Yeah.
basically, what about for that?
So that the best way to get people in from a leads perspective is going to be the first thing I would do with that IG funnel or creating organic content out by messaging. If you're doing that already and if it's working, I would just spend more and keep scaling that. The second thing I would then do would be probably like retargeting. Depending on your skill set and what you like doing, I'd potentially maybe look at something like YouTube, but it's a longer form gig. Something I personally quite like, depending on your offer, is LinkedIn, because that has more organic reach than pretty much any platform, and it's a piece of piss to make content for. So it kind of depends, but it's, you know, I started this earlier with like it's allocation of resources. We only have so much time and like mental bandwidth, so you have to choose which dragon you want to slay in which order, which is why I'm like, yeah, email works, but it's not like 0 to 10. It's not the number one I'm going to like spend my time on. So that kind of, I know it didn't specifically answer, but kind of.
You know, if someone pays in the finance,
Yeah.
they made the first payment level. What do you do if they want to drop off after paying you a bit after that second month?
Touch wood, we haven't had that yet with the financing, but
What would you do?
they'd have to take it up with the financing company.
Oh, it's a proper thing, yeah.
It's bullshit. Yes, it's not our thing. So like the way we kind of frame it from a sales perspective is we will start with essentially outsourced financing, and then like, okay, cool, so you don't have credit or whatever to do this. Can you pay up front? They could probably say no, which is why they can't get the financing. But okay, cool, we can do self-financing and we can structure it like X, Y, Z. And we'll obviously try and start as high as we can of like upfront payment and then kind of break it back down.
With the UK, do you do UK finance and this?
Our financing works in every country except for the UAE.
UAE, okay. Because it's hard to find one.
Is it split?
Yeah, that's what we use on what. It's good.
What's split it?
What?
Yeah.
I can connect with
What takes a big percentage?
Yeah, they take like 20%.
They hold 15, but you get it back in 6 months. But then that's why I'm looking at like accumulating. Like, so yeah, I would. You make a lot more money from doing it than not doing it though.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. Any other questions? Shoot.
Final question on the Black Friday offer. So with existing clients, I'm thinking of 2 ways we can do this. We've got like the ascension from the beginner to the higher ticket and then renewal. Who's like, how does that process get initiated? Are you like, hey, let's jump on a check-in call? Or is it like just DMing them and being super direct with the offer?
Can I see what time it is?
Yeah, sure.
What time is it? I can go actually, that's fine. So this is what I would do. This is what I did. I would get list of clients and like go through the entire list and I'd kind of make unique offer for each person. So I'm like, because you know what person, like, okay, this person's really bought into me, maybe I can give them this. This person's got this type of deal, I can kind of pitch them this. Longer time frames, more money, less money, kind of be flexible with it. That's actually better for you to do as a business owner anyway, because you're kind of customizing your offer to the individual. I would ideally get it to be pitched on a call. So a lot of our team will do it to our clients. I've pitched a couple of people on WhatsApp, but that's generally how I'd frame it.
I'm not too sure what your kind of delivery system is, but what do you have of your clients for you to be going through each of them and making them a custom offer? Like, what do you track?
So we use Notion. and we have that as basically like a database with all the client information that will have how much they're paid, when their contract's up, all that type of stuff. I'm also a bit weird, so I kind of recognise names and stuff, so I'm bizarre like that.
Can you talk a little bit about pricing and how
Yeah.
you decide what the price is for your employees, etc.?
So I can give an example. So our beginner program that we were kind of fucking around with, we started last time. I started like £1,000 for 3 months. We are now up to 5.5 for 6 months. So the program was okay then, but it's much, much better now. Hence why we can kind of charge more for it. The biggest thing I kind of look for from a pricing standpoint is actually like your closing percentage on it, and also the avatar of person you're dealing with. So like it might sound a lot like that guy who spent $10,000 to spend a day with me, but he will make $100,000 this month, and his business in May was making $5K a month. So like the upside on that is massive. So like the way I kind of look at everything is that anyone who works with me with us, it's like I want to give you 10x of value. So I even said to him at the start of the day, it's like, you paid 10 grand for this day, my goal is to get you $100,000 worth of value, so I'm going to fucking rip everything apart. So I would be very clear intention of who you're trying to serve, and I would always try and go on the upper end of the pricing. One of the things I'd look at is like the closing percentage. So generally, like if you're kind of above, B2B is even more, so I'd say probably if you're above 50%, I'd try and take the pricing up. But generally, you kind of want to incrementally take this up. So I mentioned to you about a 12K offer. That was originally 9K for 3 months, and then we took it for 12K for 4 months. And I'll probably take it up again next year a little bit more.
And would you, obviously you've got 3 months right now, would you give someone a guarantee, let's say for example, if you haven't made that much money, I'll work with you until we have?
Yeah, so that's essentially what we do. So we'll be like, okay, and also one of the things you can do is, I mentioned earlier about, say we do 12K for 4 months. If someone wants to split up and they're being hesitant to call, if like last chance thing, I'd be like, okay, cool, let's do a love it or leave it guarantee. Let's do 3K for the first month. If you think this is shit and it's not going anywhere, then we just call it quits.
But then they can just work with you longer and say, hey, we didn't make that much money.
No, we'd ask to see their stripes and stuff.
Okay.
So just ask for data for it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And at a certain point, like if they're kind of retarded, they'll just, you can't save everyone sometimes. The people who tend to like haven't done this a while, the people who ask questions like that, kind of like red flags to us, and I'll be like, we'll just say no, we don't want to work with you because it's just not. Everyone in this room probably can think of a name of a client they have who's really fucking annoying. I'd rather they just didn't.
So do you give the guarantee to every single client?
Yeah, it's part of the pitch.
What if they just don't try?
Well, then they don't try. They tend to just. What happens is they tend to just ghost. They won't reply on Slack. They won't reply on anything. They just fucking disappear off the face of the earth.
Okay, because my worst nightmare is, I don't know, someone not trying and then calling me a scammer.
But then deep down, you know if you are or you're not. So like I've had clients before who've been like, oh, like X, Y, Z, and I was like, okay, cool. Let me have a look in Slack. It's like, I can see hundreds of messages of people trying to help you, voice notes, calls they haven't fucking turned up for. So I'm like, at what point, people just don't want to take ownership of their own situation. So I wouldn't be too worried about that.
If someone doesn't turn up to a call, you don't charge them, you just take
Well, they're paid already anyway.
Oh, okay.
So they're paid up front, aren't they? Anything else?
What's the guarantee do? Sorry, I'm just out.
So our guarantee, so that person, the annoying person who like you can think of straight away. Our guarantee is we will make you the money back, or we'll work with you for free until we do so. So like there's not, you can't really get fucked over too much at that point. And also like transparent, if you have someone who's like, I haven't made my money back, okay, cool. If they have to work with our team for an extra 2-3 months, like they either make the money back and continue, or they kind of get bored and leave. So it's like, yeah.
What's your plans for Black Friday? Like, have you got something specific?
So we launched our Black Friday offer on Friday last week. The reason we did that is because we had a massive event on Friday and Saturday, so I knew I was going to have loads of social media traffic. I would also say Black Friday I would always launch early, because the reason for that is you don't want someone to go and spend their money with someone else, because you're not going to buy 2 people's fitness programs. So I'd always try and go early, and the cost of advertising increases the closer you get into Black Friday. So I'm probably going to rein in our ads a little bit now because they're getting more expensive. And then what we do is we will offer people 3 months free coaching. So instead of 4 months coaching, they get 6 months for the same price. We'll build them 5 custom AI tools, $2,000 of tickets to free events next year, a free tech audit call with one of our team, and I think that's it. So like, try and just add as much stuff in as you can that creates value, but you can also deliver on scale if you have a scaled business. Because like, I don't want to be doing 50 fucking one-to-one calls for Black Friday that people have signed up.
Sorry, go on.
Okay, how many coaches do you have for the one-on-one, and would you recommend transitioning to group training to scale, or would you just hire a coach?
People want one-to-one, so it depends on the price point. So I personally would look to bring someone in who can do some of the coachings, delegate some of that off, and then transition to a group. So I don't have no fucking idea how I did it, but on my fitness business, when I first started doing B2B, I was coaching maybe like 15 to 20 people, and I was doing a call every 2 weeks with every single person and had them on WhatsApp, and I hated my fucking life. And so like my big thing is like life by design of like, I don't want to be on Zoom all day. That's like my worst fucking nightmare. So how can I engineer a business where other people can do these things for me, and I can be the architect and create the system and create the blueprint that people can then execute and then not kind of screw the thing up. So if I was you, I'd look to try and bring in someone who's a coach. One of the easiest things you can do is look for someone who's been a great success story. You mentioned about finding coaches within your business. The easiest people to hire are actually often people who've been great success stories for you, because they trust and believe you and they understand the process inside and out, and they can speak from their own personal experience. So that's often where we'll hire people from. It just gets more challenging like the higher you scale the business in terms of who you work with.
But what are you paying someone like that? Or what's the incentive for them if they're really doing well?
So a lot of them, we will pay them generally probably most of them about 3K a month, but not as much as you probably think, like the beginner ones. So why would they want to do it for that? Okay, so not everyone is purely money focused and as hungry as everyone is in here. A lot of people want to be a part of something. But also we sell to them is, you get to learn all this shit for free from Charlie. You also get to come to all these events in Dubai and do all this other stuff. So like you can kind of create a team culture and an environment. I talked about brand as well. Like the bigger your brand gets as an individual, the easier it is to try and pull these people through. So like we're hiring a lot of salespeople, maybe like 6 to 8 a month, and just churning them over. Like we have a 6 system in terms of how we recruit them. And I can just chuck stuff in my stories and just pulls people in. That's why I kind of think of everything from like a first principles in terms of what we're doing. And then if you get the right culture within your team where everyone kind of like enjoys the environment, they're less worried about the money. It's more about they just want to be involved because they want to help people. I actually say as well don't take this wrong way. Americans aren't great to hire for these roles because they need more money or they want to earn more. British people are great to hire for this because we're quite, we're not as entrepreneurial naturally as people from the US.
2 quick ones on that. So the first thing is, have you ever been gypped by a coach that tries and starts coaching your clients?
Not a coach, but we've had clients do it. Okay. So I've had like a couple of people who've been like the fucking knockoff version of Charlie Johnson. Yeah. But it is what it is. And
then the events, sorry, are they included in the program? So those are
the big event like the weekend isn't. So that one we charge cheap ticket prices in my opinion. So it's like £500, and then there's a 2K ticket for it as well. And then like the smaller ones that are kind of in-person ad hoc are free.
They're the free ones. Okay, cool.
The way I do it from that perspective, it doesn't cost me anything to do them. So I'm like, I get to make a load of content, I get a load of traffic on social media. Yeah, and it's like, it's easy.
I was going to say, for the big events, do you fly them out or?
It's in clients fly out.
Like, do you pay for their flights?
No.
You kind of mentioned it, but how would I do it for a fitness offer? But it's like, you're not working with me because my social is just
Easy. Okay, so someone could work with me one-to-one, but they just have to pay a lot more. Okay. So like, how much is your price?
3K, 3 months.
Okay, so let's say you're 3K for 3 months. If you made the coach's price is 3K for 3 months, and then to work with you is 5K for 3 months. You just give them 2 options. If everyone still keeps taking the 5K one, I'll just keep increasing that. You just kind of price yourself out of it.
What if they're coming from my Instagram, they're like, no, but I want to work with you?
Well, yeah, then cool, dude, just pay $5 grand.
Okay, but I'm thinking more of like, do I need to make a separate Instagram?
No. Like, there's like overcomplicating stuff, yeah. You know, like limiting beliefs things. So it's like, I've also done all this stupid shit of like when we were like ramping our fitness business like crazy. I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna make fucking Instagram accounts for all the coaches. I even thought about doing this for this. I'd be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna get like 10 of our coaches have Instagram accounts. We're gonna get them to make content. It's just.
Okay, maybe what I'm trying to ask is frame it then, but it's like, I'm the face of...
Okay, so you're the authority, right? So it's the same thing of like, it's actually easier in some respects if you're not even the person taking the sales call. I wouldn't recommend people not to take their sales calls until you're probably making like 60 to 80 to 100K a month plus. The reason for that is because this is a time zone issue. The most expensive thing you can do in your business is bring in salespeople because they'll fuck up closing leads you would close. And it's the most valuable use of your time. So what I would do is, okay, cool. So if you want to work with me, it's 3K. If you want to work with us, you have two options. It's 3K for 3 months, or it's to work with a coach, or it's 5K for 3 months to work with me. And that's it. So like, people are paying for access, right? And Jimmy, our coach, uses the exact same systems, all the methodology, absolutely everything I built. I'll even help him set up the initial program. He will just be the one doing the check-ins and kind of like the accountability and keeping you on track. You can also have contact to me though in the groups in terms of like Facebook and then like the weekly group call we do. It's just how you frame and kind of position stuff. You know, I said earlier as well, it's like about detaching from money. One of the reasons people kind of get stuck is I can give a better story from this. When our fitness business in 2019, I had 210, 220 coaching clients myself because I didn't think I could get anyone else to do it. And as soon as I got someone else, I was like, this is fucking awesome. I have to fucking deal with all these people. So I was just like, hire as many people as I could. Because that's why you'll get stuck. And the biggest thing you want to change your time to in your business, and everyone think about this, is what percentage of your time are you spending on marketing and sales or fulfillment? I would guess now 90% of my time is on marketing sales. Probably like the other, maybe like 5% like finances and stuff, and then 5% fulfillment maybe.
Thank you. What is your sales call structure?
So we use, I can send it to anyone if you want. It'll be a fitness example. If you just DM me on Instagram, I'll send it to you. It's Alex Hormozy's closer framework, which we've used AI and kind of manipulated for what we want. So closer framework stands for clarify the North Star. Like, what does the person want? Label the problem. Like, what's the actual issue? O is observe past pain. S is sell the solution. E is something about explain away concerns, I think. And I think R is something to do with results, or something like that. But the main part of this that actually like we just hammer people on training is this is every single DM conversation, sales conversation, everything. Clarify North Star. What does the person want? Label the problem. Okay, cool. So you want to make 100 grand a month. Why do you feel like you're not making 100 grand a month at the moment? Oh, well, I don't know how to run paid ads and generate leads. Okay, cool. So awesome. So I'd always go a couple of layers deeper with that. Like, what specifically about paid ads do you not understand? What have you done before to try and learn to run paid ads or have run paid ads for you? I'm going into what you've done before has not worked. So I'm getting where you want to go, what the actual problem is that you're saying to yourself, you're labeling yourself, I have this problem, and then what have you done before that's failed and it's not worked? And we have this in like a kind of a script framework that's really easy to kind of run through in a Google Doc. It slays. And then within that, I don't like people selling on sales scripts. I prefer people to think in frameworks. And then what we have within that is we'll have, in certain sections, we'll have certain things you can kind of say verbatim to individuals. So for example, don't shoot me for saying this, a lot of people in fitness can be very arrogant and have very big egos for kind of no reason. So we will play into that. You can kind of tell looking at some of the social media. So one of the things we'll say to someone, if we want to bait someone a bit, it'd be like, okay, cool, Charlie. So you want to make 100K a month, but you're scared to run money, like to invest in your business, you're scared to run paid ads. Do you feel like you're playing to lose or playing to win? Oh, I'm playing to lose now, I need to play to win. Like you could kind of egg people into a corner you want. It's like a lot of this framework is you're pushing people into like a position where you're in control of the frame, if that makes sense. Anything else?
I don't know if I've hired Sarah too early. When do you hire Sarah and how should you pay them?
As soon as possible. If you make any money, I'd probably hire a setter. So if you work out how much a setter costs, Okay, so I'll explain it a bit better. So if you work out, if you mind me asking, how much money do your business make in October?
In October, like 10, 12k or something.
Okay, so let's say it's 10k. How many sales calls did you book in October?
I have no idea.
Okay, so you should know that. So let's say for ease of maths, it was, let's say it's 10. That means that every single call that gets booked is £1,000. So if you hired someone full time, and let's say it costs £3,000, can he book you 3 calls in 30 days? If they have any competence in it, yeah, 100%. So I always try and back up decision making with like the math behind things. But a really good book for you to read would be a book called Traction by Gino Wickman, which there's a section there called Scorecards. Talks about a lot about like data and numbers in businesses. Like that's how we run our whole business is off of that. Because ultimately all the decisions you make in your business have to be based upon data, so you can try and make the right informed decision, not just kind of with emotion, if that makes sense. Anything else? Cool. Happy? Anything else that not want covered? One question people ask in the starting budget, I'll just cover that. So if you're going to run boosted reels, I personally start at £20 a day. If we launch via sales, we start on 100 a day because we want quick data. But generally, I'd recommend starting pretty much most ad campaigns at a minimum of £20 per ad set per day, or a boosted reel per day. Like if you have a small, like you can start that boosted reel funnel at £5 a day if you want to. It doesn't really matter. But
What's the ad set?
so you have campaign is it's like a group of ads, if that makes sense.
Solid, man.
Cool. Good.
Sorry, Sean.
Sorry.
Question for you. Like Chris, I'm from the extremely successful offline.
Yeah.
I'm here-
Proper business. Like us fucking.
Start now.
Yeah.
There's a proper business as well. It's just a different platform. So I see an opportunity, and I'm working with Wendy to create an offer, etc. My offer is basically taking creators for online businesses from the level they're at and 10xing them.
Yeah.
Preparing them for exit. And the problems that I identified is a lot of them are revenue generating, but not enterprise. There's no enterprise.
It's because their personal brand is very heavily attached to it.
So either the lead gen is coming primarily from the personal brands, they're either very dominant on Meta or Google, one traffic source, geo very restricted, and offer, so product fit is very narrow.
Yeah.
They believe in simplicity, but in business you need some complexity, with a pinch of salt, but yeah. What offhand,
What's my opinion?
what's your opinion, pack the bags, go, or
Okay, so
okay,
okay, we've run out of paper because we've gone through so much. So
Not the time to acquire clients.
yeah. So I get pitched myself. Okay, so if you pay me enough, I'll sell everything. So I'll explain.
By the way, scale 3 brands to 300 million.
Okay. So I can sell you this if you want. So I'll explain why I have done certain things. The reason it's called 7-figure scaling systems instead of Charlie Johnson scaling systems is my first business I called Charlie Johnson Fitness. I can't fucking really get rid of that very easily. So that has nothing to do with my name. A lot of why do we push very heavily paid ads? And then we've also had some ads that are running AI that aren't even real people. We're also going to start running other people in the ads. The ad system can run without me and book calls and make money, and I'm not in the ads. The business doesn't really need me anymore. If I'm also not really doing the coaching, it doesn't really need me anymore. If you look at so that's where these businesses can be scaled and can be sold. It's just difficult because I'll say this in a politically kind of correct way, most people who are very good in terms of from a creator aspect who I've dealt with in fitness don't have the business understanding of how to do this, so they just want to post stuff on Instagram and get fucking sponsors. It's like, cool, that doesn't really work, and you can't sell that. So I've kind of structured this from day one that if I want to kind of step out a bit, I can do. I think there are people out there who could do that. I think it would also be in very specific niches. I've had a couple of businesses I've nearly taken on to do it, is start taking big ownership in other people's businesses, and we'll run some of the marketing and some of the back end, and we'll use their face and their brand, and we'll take like half the business. But the biggest thing I'm looking for in that scenario is how competent is that CEO or founder himself, because if I don't really rate him, I know this is not going to work. So, and with that, I'd also say I'm looking for people who've got a very unique offer. So it's something that's very different in the marketplace that there isn't a huge amount of people doing yet, but there's clearly a demand for. To give an example, a friend of mine, he's done that, and he's got a lady who he works with, who he's scaled her business, and they help kids get into Ivy League schools in the US. And they have a program that sells kids on how to do that. They sell to the rich parents about how to get into like, there's not many people doing that. It's a very specific niche. The avatar has a big pain point, a time window, and they have money. So it's really, really clever. So if you find stuff like that, that I'd kind of nail into. The problem with getting those people is those people generally want to work with people kind of have probably a brand behind them, which is why people like Alex Hormozi's built his brand, because people will just come to him with businesses. That kind of answers the question. Cool.
Quick one, is the person that you're talking about, you know by any chance?
Is who?
You know?
No.
Nah.
Anything else?
No.
Helpful?
Very
Gonna make some more money? Cool.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. That's good.